All right. Well, welcome all of you that have signed on here for our webinar. They say in construction, if you show up on time, you're late, and if you show up early, you're on time, right? But that doesn't always apply to webinars. So we're going to give this another minute or two to get the rest of the people signed up. We had over 200 people sign up for this webinar. We've got over 100 of them already on, and so we're just going to give it another minute or two before we get started here. So again, appreciate all of you taking time out from your what I'm imagining is probably a pretty busy and hectic week to join us for this, and give us another minute or so, and we will be ready to start. All right, I can see that people are still streaming in here. I can watch as our attendees keep going up here. So I'm gonna want to give it just a couple more minutes, or just maybe another 60 seconds or so, and get people to join us. We are going to try to keep this to about 30 minutes because we know that you are all super busy right now, and so we've got a very condensed and concentrated program for you here. We'll get started in just a minute.
Go.
Okay, well, let's go ahead and get started here. I can see people are still streaming in, but it looks like the bulk of you that have signed up are here. So again, welcome everyone to the Pandemic Survival Guide for Residential Contractors. My name is Ed Earl. I am one of 3 principals in a group called Residential Contractor Services Group. I'm joined on this webinar with David Luperger and Paul Sanneman. And the purpose of this is really to help contractors nationwide to get a grip on what's going on here in our nation, particularly for us as residential contractors. So let's start by giving a little bit of an introduction so that you can meet each of the 3 of us. Again, my name is Ed Earl. And I am based in San Diego, where I run a construction project management company as an owner's rep. I've been doing that for about 20 years. I have 30 years of construction experience, actually started in commercial construction. And I also have an MBA from Stanford. So, and I, in addition to that, I'm a business coach with Residential Contractor Services Group. So, Paul, tell us a little bit about yourself.
My name is Paul Sanneman. I've been doing this for 35 years, which makes me an old guy, I guess. My master's was from Cal Poly, which isn't as impressive as yours. And I would say in my 35 years of doing this, this is pretty unique. I've been through several recessions, but I never come across anything like this. So as well as adversity, I believe there's going to be some opportunity. So it's a very interesting time.
And I'm David Luperger. I work with Paul and Ed. I'm a former full-service general remodeling contractor. Did it for, gosh, probably 25 years plus, and then have been working on the consulting and coaching side here lately. And again, I want to echo our appreciation for your joining us today. And like Paul just said, in my entire career in construction, this is new. I've never seen anything quite like this. So Ed, let me give it back to you.
Thanks, David and Paul. Yeah, this really is unprecedented, it's a very challenging time. The good news is that between the 3 of us, we've got 75 years of combined experience in the residential construction industry. None of us have seen this before, but believe me, we've all been through lots of recessions and challenges and terrorist attacks and everything else that's profoundly impacted our residential construction industry before. So we've made it through those before, and we are all here to tell you that together as a group and as an industry, we will make it through this as well. So let's move on now, and I want to give you a little background on the purpose of what we're trying to do here with this webinar. So as all of you can appreciate, you know, the situation changes daily, and we realize that for all of you in your individual markets, it's hard for you as contractors to stay up to date with the most current information. We fortunately have the ability to do that because that's what our business is. We are connected to the NAHB and NARI and all of the various information that we're receiving. We're monitoring the situations on a daily basis. We just saw this morning now that Washington State has just shut down their construction. So we will be coaching our clients differently in that state now because of that. But we're talking to about 50 or so residential contractors every week, nationwide, from Gainesville, Florida to Seattle, Washington, from Montreal, Canada to San Francisco, California. So we are really on top of what's going on, and we want to be able to share that with all of you. So we're going to do these quick 30-minute webinars every Friday because we felt that it's better to give you what the most current and up-to-date information is each week, rather than spending a lot of time and just doing one webinar. So we'll be not only sharing whatever updates that we have, but as more resources and aid comes each week for contractors and business owners, we'll be supplying that. And then as we're talking to each of our clients, we're developing new strategies and approaches based on whatever the current circumstances are. And so we'll be sharing that in these weekly webinars as well. So if you have any questions during this webinar, please type them into the questions box. And we have our Justin Landry from our staff here who's going to be reading the questions, and then we will address those at the end of the presentation. So again, we want to keep this to about 30 minutes, and then we'll be willing to stay on and talk about any specific questions at the end of this presentation. Okay, so let's get started. The first point in our survival guide is the importance of communication. You know, right now, that is the most important thing that you can do, is communicate. And you need to communicate with three major audiences: with your employees, your clients, and your prospects. So let's start with your employees. Well, your employees need your leadership at this point. They need to see you as a business owner and expressing that you are a leader, that you are confident, and that you see a way forward. And even if you don't fully believe that, you as a leader need to present that to your employees at this time. We'll talk a little bit more about what you can do as a business owner to address whatever concerns and issues and worries that you have. But to your employees, you need to communicate and represent that you will all get through this together. So, David, if we could move on to the next slide there. So the second group that you need to be able to speak with is your clients. Your clients need to know a couple of things. First, they need to know that you're taking all necessary safety precautions and that you are doing everything you can to make sure that not only that your crew is safe, but if you are, say, a remodeler and you're working in someone's house, that you're doing all of the required safety precautions, keeping anyone that could possibly be infected away from the job site, and following all of the safety regulations. Second, you want to update them when external circumstances change, like, for example, what just happened this morning in Washington State, and let them know how that's impacting their schedules. And these are the kinds of things that you need to be doing on a weekly basis, right? If all of you, I know many of our clients sent out an email to all of their customers last week. That was great, but you have to update that every week because things are always changing. And then the third group that you need to communicate with is your prospects, right? You need to let your prospects know that your company is moving forward and that you will continue to build after this crisis is over. So the next point in communication is to understand how you can communicate. And You know, the issue right now with social distancing is that people want to hear your voice and they want to see your face. So you need to pick up the phone. You know, I'm sure you're just like me in that you're getting every day. I think I've gotten 3 or 4 already this morning. You get these COVID-19 updates, right? Everyone is sending them out. I mean, I'm getting them from not only my bank and people who I do want to hear from, but I mean, I got an email from a car company I've never bought a car from, a hotel I never stayed a night in. So, you know, don't be part of that noise. Don't just send out an email. When you can, pick up the phone and call them. And if you sent out an email, like maybe you sent out a group email to all of your customers last week, follow up with a phone call. And even if you don't reach them, just leaving a voicemail, having them hear your voice. Believe me, with all of us here stuck at home and not able to contact people like we normally are, it really helps to hear that. Now, a lot of people don't check their voicemail. So another idea that you can do is just send a brief text after you've left that voicemail. Hey, Jim, just sent you a voicemail with some information. Please take a listen when you get a chance. Another key thing is when, in addition to picking up the phone, is that you need to continue to be face-to-face with your clients and your prospects, all right? Just because we have to practice social distancing and working at home is no excuse to not be in front of your clients and your prospects. So there's a lot of ways to do that, and I want to go through a couple of them here. The first is, for any of you that have an iPhone, use FaceTime. You know, I'm using FaceTime so much more now, not only with my clients, but even with my parents. They now love it when I call them and use FaceTime. So use FaceTime whenever you can if you have an iPhone. And if you're in your office, do a video conference call. There's lots of great ways to do that. And I'm going to talk about 3 ways that we can use them. The first is Zoom. So Zoom, probably, we've used Zoom in our coaching practice for a couple of years now, but it's really becoming quite popular. My kids are using it now for their online classes. And I've got to believe that probably if you hadn't heard of Zoom, probably most of you on this call have heard of Zoom now. But Zoom is a really powerful platform. They have a free version that allows you to have meetings for up to 40 minutes, and then they have paid versions after that. But you can use Zoom in 2 different ways. One, you can use it with your team to actually be able to communicate with everyone that's working at home. Our clients are establishing a certain time, say 9 o'clock every morning. They just spend 15 minutes on a Zoom call. They get all their team together and they talk together on that. You can also obviously use the Zoom call for client meetings as well, if you need to have a meeting with the client and you want to do it face-to-face. But another really effective feature of Zoom is that you can do a screen share. So now what that allows you to do is you can literally make a sales presentation through Zoom. We've always told our clients, never just send a sales proposal or a cost estimate in an email. You need to always do it in person. You need to be able to have face-to-face, to be able to read the reactions and to have that connection. And you can still do that now through Zoom. So the next thing that I want to talk about is something called Loom. Now, Loom is a video messaging alternative to an email. It's another free program. You can get it online. And what it allows you to do is right there at your computer, you can record a video message, which is really, for many of us, faster than typing an email. And you record the message just sitting at your desk with a webcam, and then it creates a little link, and then you just email that link to your client, and then they can watch your message, they can see your face, and they can listen to it in a much more personal manner. Another thing that you can do with Zoom is you can actually do a screen share. So I've done this with several of my clients. There might be something that I want to show them how to do on their computer. Maybe it's a report that I pulled up. So I can pull up that report, and then it overlays a bubble of a video screen, and so they can actually see me and watch me talking while I'm recording and sending that email. So the last thing I want to talk about is something called Glide. So Glide is a video messaging alternative to voicemails and text messages. Again, people are getting inundated with not only emails, but text messages. And I find that it's so much more impactful if you can record a video message rather than sending them a text or leaving them a voicemail. So again, this is a free program. It works both in iPhones and Androids, and it's a really great program that you can utilize. So I'm going to turn it over now to Paul Sanneman, and he's going to talk to you about some marketing advice.
Thanks, Ed. Well, with every adversity, there's an opportunity. I think this webinar is a classic example. For the last, 10, 12 years, you've always been trying to get people to webinars. Very difficult. Now we have, 200 people showing up to webinar. So it's a time to get people's attention, especially people like architects. So again, crisis creates opportunities as well as the adversity. It's not maybe the best time to be selling, but it's a great time to be marketing. The difference between marketing and selling is marketing is everything you do to get the phone to ring, and pretty much selling is everything you do after the phone rings. So I've been working with a client, so I know how do we get things to happen. Now, the pandemic has created a paradigm shift to remote access, remote communication. I think post-pandemic, we're going to see things like CoConstruct and Buildertrend and Procore, which are all web-based web-based project management programs. People are going to use those because people may not want to visit the job sites as much as they did, especially after they get used to not doing it. I know some of my clients, everybody's gone home and they're still working, from their home office, and they may not want to come back because, hey, why stay home get as much done? So there's some shifts that are happening. There's also a shift happening. So some of our clients are having people move, from the city into the country. I've got a guy in upstate New York who has a new boom in housing because people are bailing out of New York. I've got a guy in Arkansas who is getting people, if you're going to stay at home, it might as well be a pleasant home. So they're moving out of apartments. So there's in this problem, there is opportunities. Video conferencing, messaging, all this really works. Now, in the past, I have promoted over the years that one of the keys to the kingdom in residential building is getting to know architects better, because we work with 50 builders across the country. Those that have great relationships with architects do the best. I've got a client, Bay Area, he does about 20 million, it's all from architects, and several clients are in the same situation where they get all their work from architects. In the past, the problem has been getting a hold of the architect because they've already got a girlfriend and it's not you. So, obviously you're not going to knock on anybody's doors at this time, but we have a couple people using this technique, and I highly recommend it if you have a web-based project management system like CoConstruct. And what you do, and we've got this people using it in different markets, a guy in Seattle right now is using it because Seattle's totally closed down, is you call architects and you tell them that in the future, you're looking for people to work with that are going to use, in this case, CoConstruct. And you'd like to show them how CoConstruct works. Well, first place, they're going to answer the phone where they wouldn't in the past because they're all, home or at their home offices, a lot of them. So once they answer the phone, you say, let me show you how CoConstruct works, or whatever you want to use, Buildertrend. And what happens is you use Zoom, you set up a phone call with them, and then it's an opportunity for you to get to work with them. Now, the thing is, they may have heard about CoConstruct or Buildertrend in the past, but it's been like a video they watch. You have an opportunity to meet with them on the phone, go through Zoom, and walk them through a real project in their market. And you go over the scheduling, you go over, make sure obviously your product well. But we've had a lot of receptivity to architects that are now willing to listen to these alternatives. Also, in a lot of markets, I've been through several recessions, and the older guys are going to go in this one, hey, I'm done, I've been here, done that. And a lot of the older guys are a little bit Luddites when it comes to software. So what's going to happen is a lot of the older guys are going to bail, and this is going to leave opportunities for the younger up-and-coming contractors and using higher technology to be able to get bigger market share. So I think architects are a great opportunity. If you need more details, we can maybe bring that later. Next, we have some of our clients that are calling their prospects, going through our prospects as well as all their past clients. And I have one lady in Portland who says, what's the room you hate the most now that you have to stay at home? And she's given the opportunity to literally video conference with clients. Clients are, taking videos of the rooms they don't like. She's offering a free planning session, and these people are staying in touch by phone. So, you don't have to stop, marketing. You can still get in touch with your clients, use the resources available. And in this case, design is happening. Another trend we're noticing in marketing is that people that have money and resources are moving forward faster because they got supply line issues. Now, it's sort of interesting. I talked to a guy this morning, and he had a $4 million project, and he goes, well, the guy calls me, he goes, wow, another recession, I can get it cheaper. Well, that's true in a way. You're going to have to be sort of like a commodities person. Some things are going to go up because of the current crisis, because, they're stopped making cabinets, supply lines are going to be cut. I wouldn't order anything from Italy soon. And all that's going to go up, where other things may go down. We may have a recession and subcontractors bring down their price. So it's important you, as their contractors, like a commodities person, knows how to balance, what do I order now to get ahead of the line? Any kind of, permits and entitlement process is going to slow down. So that's a reason for a lot of people to move forward. I have people making selections over the internet, which it would not have made normally. They don't want to go into the showrooms. So in general, the people that have the resources have sped up, I guess, good English. And the people that are on the marginal edge are bailing. So there's an opportunity to move forward in all of this. So again, keep building and keep marketing. And the most important thing is be confident, because when your client talks to them, they want you to convey confidence and not fear, and both are contagious. So whatever you need to do to get yourself up and positive, do it before you talk to a client or a prospect, because they're going to pick up on the fear in your voice, and you don't want that. And certainty is as contagious as anything else. So make sure that you feel confident. And again, when you share your confidence, do it with people that matter. Now, if you have moments of doubt, make sure that your fear is shared with people that are confidential, like maybe your wife or maybe your business partner. Do not, go to your, employees and say, oh my God, the zombie apocalypse is coming. That's not going to help much. So make sure you restrict your conversations about fear to those people that will not spread it, and those conversations about being confident to people who want to know you are a confident leader. You're going to get through this. It's sort of like a hurricane. It's going to come. Some people are going to die, and it's going to be over. And so they need to know that you're going to be there when it's over. So it's like anything else, just stay confident. Okay, Ed, back to you.
Well, let me take over here, Paul, because we're really talking about leading by example. And what you just said, Paul, in the absence of information, people get scared. So I'm going to say to every owner on this webinar, put together a group, or bring your employees together, whether it's 1 or 10 people, and create a plan, and jointly create a plan and lead by example. So sit with them to review if we're still working, if we're on site, following the Center for Disease Control recommendations. Come up to a plan for the health and safety of the company moving forward. Let employees know if they're not feeling good, stay home. Talk to your employees who may have kids who now can't be in school. Do they need to stay at home? If they're at home, can they do some work from home? Are there some things they can do? Do they have access to that information? So really collaboratively create an action plan moving forward, because your employees are part of this plan. You're moving forward together. Now, Ed just mentioned what happened in Washington. And if there is a community shutdown, then proactively begin to identify what will need to be done and who can do that. All right? What will we do if things stop? What does it look like? Who will be responsible? During that time, Paul just mentioned people are at home now. Are there some things you can do to work on your business? Is there some team training, using the Zoom platform? Is there some kind of office or warehouse cleanup or remodel that you can do just in-house, if safe? Lastly, are there company processes and procedures? If people have time, let's work on those things. Let's put our attention to putting those things in place, because for the last 3 years, we haven't had time to do that. Now, on the client side, this piggybacks what Ed was saying. In the event of clients putting their projects on hold, continue to engage them. All right. Again, in the absence of information, people can get scared. And so what Ed just said, once a week, communicate people either through a virtual email, a message, communicate, let them know you're thinking about them. Do what you can. I spoke with a contractor yesterday. He submitted 2 permits in Denver for approval because guess what? The permit department is also moving slowly. So those permits could take 6 or 8 weeks to move through that process. And then as you're beginning to see that as you can make selections, you can review plans, again, online with Zoom, you can also go to suppliers and get links for all these different products. And so there's a certain efficiency here. And we're almost creating a new paradigm that as we come out of this, when we will come out, there'll be another way to work with people in a very optimized fashion. And it's our job to lead this process. But I've got to say, we really don't know what's happened. So I've been asking contractors to put together what I'm calling a 60-day run rate, or in the .com world, they call it the burn rate, which is, think of the next 60 days, how much money do we have in the bank, what jobs are still in process, what income do we have coming in, and then I'm going to compare that to my labor cost plus burden, all my company overhead, and any owner's compensation. And I need to compare those two. Do we have the ability to make it over the next 60 days? And if not, let's begin looking at how we can address that. So again, you're bringing your team together to talk about this company plan. You can begin to review that 60-day run rate and say at a certain time, we're going to be, coming up on a shortage. Who wants time off? Or if we reflect back on 2008 and 2009, there were companies that across all employees took a 20 or 25% reduction in salary so that they all could share the burden. So these are conversations you have company-wide. Now next, because of what's going on, see if you can suspend certain payments you might be making now. If you have a lease, call your landlord, ask for a grace period. I was working with a contractor in just outside Boston. He was getting ready to leave his office. And I said, no, call your landlord. I don't think she wants to lose you. He called me back an hour later and she said, she just gave me a 1-month grace period. If that doesn't work, put the lease payment on the back end of the lease. Call your mortgagor, if you own the property. People are making exceptions because of current conditions, but you're not going to get that exception if you don't ask. And again, as you can see on the screen, truck, equipment payments. Call those people asking if there's something they can do to work with you. I think in most cases, they don't want the equipment back. They don't want the car or truck back. They will work with you, especially if you've been, a good customer. Lastly, for additional support, and this is unfolding almost daily, contact your state unemployment agency in regards to unemployment benefits that have been facilitated because of this crisis. Just last week, the Family First Coronavirus Response Act was approved in regards to payments for employers taking care of employees who can't come to work. The IRS has approved a deferral of Social Security payroll taxes. For your employees, you'll still collect the payroll taxes, their Social Security, but you can put your matching payment on hold. This is enacted as of April 15th and extended through July 15th to allow you to keep some additional cash in the bank. And lastly, over $300 billion approved by the Congress that is going to be provided to companies through the Small Business Administration. So there is an application process. Probably the sooner you get in there, the better. but that's what that money's for, to assist you with making it through this downturn. So let me turn this, back over to you, Ed, because this is really where we started. And watching the news can be tough. So what do you do, Ed?
Yeah, well, thanks, David. Yeah, this is, we're going to finish here with our fifth and final point, and in some ways, this is, I think, the most important. Look, these are trying and uncertain times, but I think there are things that we can do to help us get through this. The first is stay informed, but you know what? Don't watch the news. You watch the news for 15 minutes and you can work yourself into such an anxiety panic. But be informed. There are so many great sources of information today, fortunately. Use the internet. Find some insightful and well-researched articles from reliable news sources. And then take that together and use it in a measured doses. Don't overload yourself. It's so easy to get overwhelmed. Last Friday, someone sent me an article that tracked Italy's progress and our progress, and I could see where we were going. And I tell you, I woke up Saturday morning, I was so stressed. I just said, you know what? I'm going to go on a 48-hour news fast. And I didn't look at my phone. I didn't read the paper. I didn't look at the internet for all of Saturday and Sunday. And I got to tell you, I woke up feeling so much better Monday morning. And when I read the news on Monday, it wasn't really much different than Friday. So really watch your consumption of the news. Secondly, connect with your peers. Now is the time to reach out to your colleagues in construction groups, professional networking groups that you might be involved in, your local trade partners who are in your local cities. Really reach out and connect with them, because we're all going through it all together. Be optimistic about the long term and focus on short-term solutions. Pretty much everything that we've given you today is the short-term solutions, but you've got to remain optimistic about the long term. And the next thing is be selective as to who you share your concerns with. It's what Paul said earlier. Look, every one of us is scared. I'm scared. I get anxious. But I don't share that with certain people. If your wife is not in your business, I wouldn't share that with her. I think you need to be very selective of who you share it with. If all of our coaching clients, they share all of their concerns with us. If you have a coach or a board member or someone that you have that you can share it with those people. But don't share it with your employees or your spouse if they're not involved. And recognize that this too shall pass. We'll all get through this together. Okay, so I want to let you know of a couple of things that we're going to continue to do here going forward, because that we're in this constantly changing situation. We've given you a lot of great information today, but unfortunately we aren't really able to give one-on-one advice. And so we're going to provide that to you by offering a free weekly group coaching sessions. So starting next Wednesday, April 1st, we're going to start this. It's going to be a 1-hour group coaching session at 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 noon Eastern. And you can sign up on our website, which is rcsg.org, or if you can type fast, you can actually click on that link there that we have there on the screen. And we're going to be offering every week individual advice. We'll give each of you an opportunity to talk. And also we find that it's great to get builders together and share ideas, commiserate, suggest and support each other. And so that's going to be part of what we're going to do on these weekly group coaching sessions as well. Now, in addition to the group coaching sessions, we're also going to be continuing to offer these free weekly webinars. And we're going to do them at the same time at 11 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Central, 2 p.m. Eastern, each and every Friday. And as this situation continues to change and we get more information on the current regulations and construction restrictions in each of those states and local municipalities, as well as up-to-date information on various aid and loans from both federal as well as state and local programs. I just read here in San Diego that the San Diego City Council just approved $30 million in aid to local businesses here in San Diego. So we're going to keep on top of all of that, and we'll be sharing that with all of you in these weekly Friday webinars. So we look forward to having you join us for that. So that's our presentation. If any of you have any questions, if you wanted, it doesn't look like we have any right now. Again, if you have any questions, I would encourage you to sign up for our group coaching sessions on Wednesday. And also you can reach us at our website at rcsg.org if you want to get in touch with any of us. So, all right, thank you all for joining us. Please remember to stay positive and realize that this is like a storm, right? This is a hurricane. This is a tornado. We don't know exactly how long it's going to take, but we know at some point it will pass, and together we'll all get through this, and we'll all be stronger as a result. So thank you all for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you all again next week. Bye-bye.